To all those above me that watch over me, to all of you, my fave parapeeps on this side of the veil, welcome. This is Reverend Shawn Whittington's Paranormal Ministry. I'm your host, Reverend Shawn, the Rev. Welcome to my haunted house, my very haunted house. And today, for some reason, and I don't know if it's due to my guest or not, it has been a little active here today. In fact, I haven't done this in a long time, but they're sitting in a cup to my right and they're rattling. So I'm going to pull out, somebody here wants some attention. So I'm going to pull out my dowsing rods and see what happens here today. I've asked this on this show before, and I don't know if anybody has gotten back to me about that, but when I use those, and I've used them for a long time, I've got some other pairs that I use more often than those. But usually I get it to the right or to the left or across in front of me. But when I use them here, when they're shaking like that and someone's trying to get my attention, they do that spinning around thing and they always end up facing back towards me crossed. If anybody knows what that means, let me know. I don't know what that means. But great show today. You're going to love my guest. But before I bring my guest on, let me check the prayer urn. Rhonda K. from Utah. Very familiar with Rhonda. Recently delivered. Now that's a case I'm going to have to put in my next book if I write one. Rhonda has been recently delivered. Thank you, Jesus. I was not there to assist on the exorcism, but the Worldwide Society of Exorcists helped with exorcism by distance, where many exorcists around the world knew it was happening at the time, and we all, wherever we were at, stopped what we were doing and went into meditation for positive outcome in that situation. So it worked out great. I happen to know that Rhonda wants me to say a prayer, offer a prayer for her up to the Holy Spirit. So let me do that. Okay, this was a good one. Name of the Father and of the Son and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Holy Spirit of light and love, to you I consecrate my heart, mind, and will for time and eternity. May I be ever docile to your divine inspirations and to the teachings of the Holy Catholic Church, whose infallible guide you are. May my heart be ever inflamed with the love of God and love of neighbor. May my will be ever in harmony with your divine will. May my life faithfully imitate the life and virtues of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. To him, with the Father and you, divine Spirit, be honor and glory forever. Amen. Please keep Rhonda in your prayers. Brothers and sisters, if there's anything you want to know about me and my wife and our ministry work, you can go to our website, www.ghost-be-gone.biz. If you go there to visit, remember my wife and I don't charge for our ministry work, helping people with their paranormal issues. So I know times are tough, but if you notice the donate button and you're able to do so, click on it and send in a small donation. I promise you it'll be appreciated from the bottom of our hearts, and I assure you we will put it to good use. In addition to being an ordained exorcist, I'm also a certified spiritual advisor, intuitive coach. If you're having issues of a spiritual nature, not attached to the paranormal, and you would like to speak to the Rev about that, there is a place at the website you can make an appointment with me to do that. Don't leave the website without navigating over to the page called the WSE course/book. And on that page, you'll find the Ghost Store. Lots of cool things to purchase in there if you go for that sort of stuff. But scroll down a little bit. You'll find my new haunted autobiography, God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry. And I quote, the scariest book I ever published. That was Annette Munich, owner of Stellium Books, my publisher. but please don't let that scare you off of purchasing a copy. I like to refer to my book as a very different kind of feel good story. A lot of good versus evil where good wins. But if you haven't done your good deed for the day yet, every purchase of my book, part of the proceeds, goes to support stjude.org, St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, Nevada, and the ASPCA. So you get to do some good with your purchase too. You can get it a little less expensive at Amazon, but you can get an autographed copy enclosed in a house blessing kit off of the website. Scroll a little further down and you'll see the Worldwide Society of Exorcists, which I am a founding member. I offer a online college level course, Introduction to Spiritual Warfare, through the WSC. And this course is for all of the true warriors for Christ out there that feel a calling to want to have more knowledge when it comes to drawing your line in the sand, circling the wagons, putting up a good fight against, God forbid, true evil if it ever comes calling. That's the course for you. If you're interested, you could enroll in the course there at the website. If you want to read more about it before making that type of commitment, there is a Worldwide Society of Exorcists Facebook page. You can read a little bit more about the course, or you can just call me and ask me about the course. All of my students that graduate get a stunning diploma, certificate of completion suited for framing, along with some other very special blessed items that you only can get from yours truly, the Rev. Most importantly, please keep my former, current, and future students in your prayers. Let me check the mailbag, the ministry mailbag for today. See if I've got a question in there from somebody. John F. from Oregon wants to know your favorite paranormal tool. Uh, well, I've been considered a time or two quite the paranormal tool myself. Get your minds out of the gutter. I didn't mean it that way. But I do mean it that way. You are your best paranormal tool. Most people that have a passion for this field may or may not know it, that they are very sensitive to spirit. And that's why they're so passionate about investigating life after death, paranormal investigators, ghostbusters, psychic mediums. Um, we're all sensitive to spirit. We are our best tools. But I travel light and I am into downsizing as far as expenses go. So I just sometimes I stop at the drugstore and take along a throwaway 35 millimeter camera. I got a small little voiceover recorder, inexpensive voiceover recorder that takes the little small cassette tapes, and my dowsing rods and my own senses. And I go and I do my thing. So you can do it on a budget. But you are your best tool, you and your senses and your sensitivity to spirit. All right, without further ado, because I want to do for you guys why you came today. And this is a very special woman. I love her. I respect her. I've known her a long time. She's a one of a kind. Brothers and sisters, please welcome to the show the one and only, the good Reverend, the rock psychic herself, Reverend Chicky Hawk. Chicky, are you with us today?
Hello there. Good to see you.
Good to see you. You look very pretty today, and we
Thank
have to
you.
do this more often. In the green room before the show started, you announced it had been about a year. I can't believe it's been a year. So
Yeah.
I apologize for that. I missed you.
I missed you too. It's lovely to be able to connect in with you.
Okay, I've got questions. I'm going to do my best today. I made a New Year's resolution that I was going to get to fan and follower questions more. So honestly, I didn't even write down any questions today. What I've got in front of me are from your fans and followers. But I do have one question that I'm going to ask at the very beginning. How was your Christmas? How was your New Year's? And did you make any resolutions?
Well, I should have to say that Christmas was quiet. We spent it on the North American Psychic and Paranormal Network, as usual. Every year we get together on there and we have a good time. We called ourselves the Christmas Heathens this year. So that was definitely a lot of fun. And for New Year's, we did the same exact thing. We hung out on the North American Psychic Paranormal Network. We had a little ball watch little party kind of thing going on there. As far as resolution goes, that's a good one. Just being able to fight the good fight, don't let nobody sway your truth, and be able to stand strong up against a lot of like wackadoodle stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm going to get something else out of the way real quick because I know you. Um, and you can take this anywhere you want, other than getting too crazy with it, because I don't want your show. I don't want this episode taken down. But I have to ask you: is there anything you want to rant about in this
Anything.
in this
Ooh.
crazy thing that we call life in the world and what's going on today? If there's anything you'd like to rant about, feel free to do so. And if
All
not,
right.
that's okay too.
Well, let's see now. Where can I start? My goodness. Well, some of you and my followers know that I've actually deleted my Facebook, my personal Facebook accounts. So that was a big maneuver for me, and I'm glad that I did it. It's gotten out of control where all I would want to do is sell something from my garage, sell some like personal effect of some sorts that I no longer want, need, or use. Like I just wanted to sell a refrigerator that was sitting in my garage that I no longer wanted or needed. Okay. So I posted it onto Facebook Marketplace, kind of like Craigslist, but there's fewer scammers on there, I guess, trying to be able to kind of weave my way around through all of that. And Facebook says to me, well, as of January the 1st, okay, we're going to need your social security number. I'm like, zip it, gotta go. Sorry, you're not getting my social security number with all these security breaches, that have been going on. So I made it in my mind. I decided, I'm sorry, I just can't do this network. All the data that we put out here, all the things that we speak about, all the things that you post about on a personal level, that's all data that's being sold. Your name, your birthday, your phone number, all of these things are used to track you. And there's a huge movement out on the internet right now where people don't want to be tracked anymore. We're tired of it. We're done with show me your papers. I just can't do it anymore. I just can't. There's a lot of people switching over from Windows and Mac. They're all going over to Linux. People are leaving the .coms because .com was originally designed for commerce. .commerce. So that anytime you're playing around on a .com website, whether that be Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, any of these .coms, they're making money off of you. And what are you benefiting? You think, oh, well, I can network with all my friends and buddies, but at what expense? Your information's being breached. Your passwords are being breached. Your security of who you are, your identity, pictures of your friends, picture of your family. I'm sure we've all had our accounts gone and spoofed, okay, and hacked. Our information ends up on the dark web. No, I'm just done with that. I'm tired of having my identity stolen. I'm tired of having the shenanigans pulled. I'm tired of receiving emails from random hackers saying, oh, we got your password because we found it on the dark web and, you need to pay me $10,000, and I'm like, I'm out of here. I just can't. So, and I'm going to add one more percentage to this, to all of your followers and also to all of the listeners and all of my fans as well. For you guys to be able to know there's more to the internet than just the World Wide Web. The World Wide Web is only one of many protocols that are out there. And on the North American Psychic and Paranormal Network, we do not collect any of your data, nor do we track you. So that's something you should know. And we are not a .com. We are a .net. We are a network. We're here to benefit everybody out there. Not only that, but also when you go into our chat section, you're going to see where we take you. We take you mostly out to a place called Internet Relay Chat, which is a whole other entity. Everybody has web browsers. Well, there are something else called mail programs. Well, there are also chat programs. And these chat programs have been around since the 1980s. And this is the original social network. This is where it all started from. And this is where we're all still moving to. This is where everybody's going because it's still free speech. Nobody's tracking us out there. We can do what we want out there. We can talk about whatever we need to talk about. And you'll find all those chats bridged out. And I'll get more into that. But you guys should look into internet relay chat, because the universities are not teaching you about that part of the internet. The internet is more than just the World Wide Web, folks.
Very interesting. Very interesting. And I knew when I asked you that question ahead of time, you can't see the camera can't notice, but I actually built a seat belt for this chair in my office so I can strap in for this interview with you. Um, very great, good advice. You know what? Yeah, I'll let it go right there. But very good advice. What else do I want to ask you? I have to ask you this also before I get to questions from your fans. You have you're legendary for having predicted many things, big event things of all types that have come true. I need, good, bad, whatever you want to hit us right between the eyes with. Do you have any predictions this early on in 2022 that you want to lay on us? Um, and I ask you that, this is my question. I ask you that only because it's just so crazy now, just so crazy. And so many people reach out to me all the time. Are we in end times? Yada, yada, yada. I just decided to, me, I'm a keep it simple kind of guy. My advice to everybody is just whoever it is in your world and in your bubble, get good with God. Whoever your God is, and I don't judge, and there's many gods. My God is perceived as many gods by many different religious belief systems. Get good with your God. Just be a good person. Love your neighbor. Love your friends and your families. Be a good person. Get good with God. And now I'll throw it to you. Predictions for 2022.
Pandemic is coming to an end.
Oh, that's good news. That
Vaccine
is good news.
mandates coming to an end. They have to. There's too many
Yeah.
lawsuits. The people have won. We didn't have to start a revolution. They flooded the courts. You have no idea what's going on in your court systems because the media is not reporting on it. I can't begin to tell you how many lawsuits there are against employers for pushing mandates. I can't tell you how many lawsuits there are against the federal government. I can't tell you how many lawsuits there are against pharmaceutical companies. And the pharmaceutical companies went live this past week. And somebody from one of the pharmaceutical companies, Pfizer, as a matter of fact, came out and said, I think we need to tone it down just a little bit. And I was like, I told you so. I told you so. As a matter of fact, I saw this actually coming about maybe 2 weeks ago. And something told me, because originally I made a prediction out here that Pfizer was, I think it was out here or was another one of your other programs. But I said that Pfizer was going to be the first pharmaceutical company that was going to get FDA approval. And I said, go make your stock, go get your stocks, because they're going to be the mother hubbard. Okay. And it's not really that they truly, went and did the clinical trials and they did all it's who's got the money. That's the one with the biggest piggy bank,
Yeah.
the one with the money calls the shots. That's how we do things. So I'm going to tell you folks now, okay, that now is like the beginning of the end, okay? Not the end of times, but the end of the shenanigans, if you will, because we're hearing a lot of weird things. It's like first we got sold on the fact that if you get the vaccine, okay, you won't get sick. All right. And you need to be able to get the vaccine so you don't get your brothers and sisters and family sick, and family ostracized other family, and there were a whole bunch of other problems. Well, now they're changing their tone. Now they're like, oh, well, if you get the vaccine, you can still get sick, but you won't get as sick. But people are still dying and people are still spreading it, and it doesn't make a difference. So they're realizing that you could only be able to sell so much product so far before you have to be able to say, all right, let's stop. Let's cut it off here. We can't sell to people anymore. There's only so much sales and marketing that you can be able to do with a product. And Pfizer has been sued in the past for these exact same shenanigans. So I'm going to tell you guys now, if you went ahead and you invested, you made your money, that you did, pull out today.
Very interesting. It's such an insidious disease too, because Sharon and I are both fully vaccinated and boosted, only because, we figured at our age, what the hell do we got to lose? And we wanted, we're still working. She's working, 6 days a week from sunup to sundown. I go into the same place several days throughout the week, part time in the evenings. So, we looked at it upon, we tried to just say, let go, let God, let's do it for, that reason you mentioned, protecting other people. But we had people that were younger than us, much healthier than us, no underlying health issues that they knew about, that got sick and passed on. And so I'll be honest with you, we both got a little worried. Neither one of us fear death, and we both have faced death and came through that. Um, but it is what it is. So that's such great news that you're making that prediction. And I'm going to steal that from you. When someone comes up to me and says, Rev, is it end of times? I'm going to go, no, it's end of shenanigans. I'm stealing that. I'm stealing that. Okay, here's the next question. Um, well, before I start, I've got all these questions in my head for you, and none of them are on this piece of paper from your fans. So let me get to that. Oh, somebody wants to know. They saw that you were on here. They either went to, you can tell us where they went. They either went to rockpsychic.com. Oh my gosh, look at the list here. Chickiehot.org or .com. Chickie Hot on YouTube. I love that. I just went there and visited. Loveschurch.com. I love that. North American Psychic and Paranormal Network, NAPN.net. Somebody went there and saw your full day retreat plus paranormal investigation of Niagara Falls. Are you still doing that?
Yeah, I am still doing that. And by the way, it's not chickiehot.org. It's chickie.org and or it's
Okay,
chickiehot.com.
gotcha.
Because the org, yeah, the
Chickie.org
org,
or
yeah, the
chickiehot.com.
yeah, and the structure of the internet. I'm old school, I'm like,
Me too.
I've been on the internet since the '80s. So, .org is an organization, and when you have too many, companies or whatever underneath, you're an organization. So it's the Chickie organization. But chickiehot.com is my personal business. That's a commerce. See, we're learning about the interwebs today.
We are.
Exactly. So, all right. So I'm sorry. Where was the question going? I'm so sorry.
The person whoever this was that saw this,
Yeah, the retreats.
question,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh my gosh. And then I thought that sounds a full day retreat with you, and I would imagine you offer even maybe a one-on-one.
Yeah, of course. Well,
That
that, yeah.
sounds, if I'm ever on the East Coast, I am going. You would probably offer it to me free anyway, but it would be worth it, whatever you're charging for that, worth it to spend the day with you. You get a glimpse into your world, which is, and I mean this out of all love, a bit bizarre, but Niagara Falls, oh my gosh, and a paranormal investigate, spend the day with you, have a bite to eat, dinner, whatever you do, go and do this night investigation at Niagara Falls with you. That sounds so special. What, other than the things that I can only imagine about Niagara Falls, especially the energy that those falls generate, and the legendary, from the Native Americans, the First Nations people throughout
Yeah.
that whole area, and all the paranormal and supernatural phenomena, from the skies to the cryptids to ghosts and what have you. Talk to me about investigating Niagara Falls and what's that like?
Scary. It's scary. To be honest with you, I can't begin to tell you how many people commit suicide at Niagara
Oh,
Falls.
I forgot about that. That's right.
It just happened some weeks ago. Some woman drove her car off. She was, I guess, high as a kite or something like that, and suicidal. She drove her vehicle off into the rapids, into the Niagara River. It took her right off almost to the brink of the falls. There was a huge, you can find it out on YouTube. They went ahead and they called in the Coast Guard, and they did this remarkable rescue on television. And oh my God, it was incredible. Unfortunately, the woman had already perished. And then, like a matter of days, like 2 days later, the car went over the falls. But nobody ever drove a car over Niagara Falls. It was like, whoa, what? But yeah, it was intentful, to be able to commit suicide. It was so sad. so heartbreaking. But again, when we go there, we're looking to be able to better understand, especially those people with depression, to be able to better understand, let them be able to experience firsthand, what is on the other side. When you are standing there at the edge of Niagara State Park, okay, and you're right there by the waterfall, okay, you just feel that pull, you feel that rush. There's an area where I take you out. We do a meditation earlier on in the evening, and we sit out on the rocks. Out on it's the third island of the Three Sisters. It goes right out into the middle of the rapids, and you sit there and you're on the ground and you're connected, and the energy of the rapids is all around you while you're drifted off into meditation, and
Wow.
it just sweeps over you. And when you stand up, you're like, whoa, where am I? Am I in another dimension? But it's a whole experience. It really is. And being able to bring like a ghost box down there, or being able to bring any divination tools or anything of that nature, the energy is just so profound, so powerful. It actually will like literally give you goosebumps. You stand there and you're like,
I'm getting goosebumps right
yeah,
now just thinking
yeah,
about it. Yeah, that whole
yeah, it's
area.
heavy. It's very heavy. They every so many years they have to be able to actually turn off Niagara Falls to go and clean up the bodies and stuff, because
Oh,
I've been there at like maybe 2-3 o'clock in the morning. I like to go there when there's no people. I want to have the park to myself. I don't want to deal with tourists. So I live down here. I don't care. I go out on the Goat Island, or I go out on the Three Sisters Islands, and use my phone as the flashlight, see my way around and everything. But there's nobody around. There's nobody around. If somebody wants to commit suicide, nobody's going to stop them. That's the scary thing about it. And it's kind of sort of like anything goes over there literally at night. Just nobody's really watching, nobody's paying attention. There's nobody like, hey, you don't jump over that barrier.
yeah.
Nothing like that. You're gonna do it. You're gonna do it. And I'm sure a lot of people do. It's an eerie feeling.
Wow, that's I forgot about that, about the falls. I mean, you think
Mhm.
about um and this is going to this is a question for me because we're both reverends. I haven't presided over a wedding in a long time. That used to be, remember growing up, and you always heard about that was the
Yeah.
destination for newlyweds to go to,
Yeah.
or people go and get married there. Have you presided over a wedding there, or even been asked to do that?
Yes, I have. Yes.
That is so
So
cool.
yeah, it's all right. Actually, waterfalls are a place of birth, death, and renewal. And we go there when we are grieving or looking to be able to start afresh, to be able to be kind of swept, if you will, of that energy, or cleansed of that energy. So people that are going there are looking for a new start. Literally. As a matter of fact, a lot of the Canadians that I meet here on the United States side, on the New York side, will always say, I love the New York side more because we have the park and the nature, and we have all the trails to walk, and it's just so beautiful. Then you go over to the Canadian side, and it's like a miniature Las Vegas. It's excitement and amusement rides and all kinds of stuff.
On the paranormal side of that, I also wasn't aware that they could shut it down and then retrieve all of the people that they may not even know that are
Mhm.
there that have committed suicide. That becomes like a massive grave site.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you have an opinion on this. My opinion is, okay, it was tragic this person committed suicide, now they're down there. But now that's become their final resting place, and you have all those bodies down there. Now you shut the falls off, and you re-bring these bodies back up. I don't know if they are able to identify them, or they are bury them ultimately in consecrated ground or anything. But I would think that even that activity stirs up the paranormal and the supernatural because you're disturbing that. Any thoughts on
Mhm.
that?
I don't think there's much left, to be honest with you. The energy of the falls is so powerful. You have to be a very in tune psychic to be able to pick up on all this. And even when you do have like a ghost box, or you do have other tools, you're going to get so much energy. I mean, you got to remember how long people have been doing this and how long the falls have been there. You know, this is like forever. You know, so I mean that escarpment, that energy there, that runs all the way across New York State. The escarpment, that big cliff that's there. It's
Yeah.
not just there; it runs all the way across, goes all the way out to like where Herkimer, New York is, where that big
Wow.
Herkimer diamond mine is.
Mhm.
So yeah, but yeah, the energy is always, it's always so high, that you have to be able to know how to filter it out. Otherwise, you're just kind of mulling through, just like getting blasted. It's kind of sort of like going into a rock concert, and you're standing right next to those speakers, and the speakers are just in your face loud to the point where it's so loud it's dysregulating your heartbeat. That's how strong the energy is there.
Wow, that's incredible. Well, while I have you as a captive audience right now, maybe you have a theory on why my dowsing rods, like when I use them, and I'm not an expert in them, but I've been using them a long time. When I'm something's trying to communicate with me, they either go both left, both right, cross in front of me. But when they're rattling in my cup and they're still doing that, when they rattle in my cup and I grab them, they spin around and then they both end up pointing back at me and crossing.
Okay, what's the
Only when I
alloy?
use them here. I don't know what they're made of. Some type of metal.
Yeah.
Some type of metal.
You think they're made out of steel, maybe? You got a magnet? Got a magnet laying around?
I I do not, but they're
Darn.
probably steel. Yeah.
Okay, if they're steel and they are magnetic, most monitors, most computers have magnetics within them.
Very
So,
good.
yeah,
Yes, and
yeah,
you can't put them together, so that's might push it away.
could be.
Possibly.
Could
Huh.
be. Could
Very
it?
interesting.
Yeah, some kind of magnetism or something like that. I don't know, but that's what it works off of. I would understand, the basic theory of, I mean, magnetism. I mean, you're working metal to magnetism. So yeah,
Absolutely.
the Earth's magnetic field, or you're in front of computers. Oh, definitely. Like if you got a compass, right, and you go in front of your computer, it's going to make the compass go wackadoodle.
I don't have it in here, but I do have a compass.
Play
I
with
am
it.
going
Play with it
I
later
am
on.
going
Try it. You'll see it'll go.
And what's interesting is that that's why I would love to investigate with you because I am so over the top, um, into the supernatural and the spiritual world. You bring such a refreshing. Wait a minute, Rev. It might be this, where I wouldn't think of that or have that knowledge in the data bank ready to know that. I would love to get out there, spend a day retreat with the good Reverend Chicky Hot at Niagara Falls. That sounds absolutely incredible. Do you ever get any of the indigenous, original um, First Nations people out there in that area that do special type of powwows or ceremonies out there?
Yeah, there are people. I just don't partake in it. I've got my own thing going on. So,
Yeah.
yeah, but they do have drum circles and things of that nature that they do, and shamanic things and rites. And you can find them up on meetups, that little app or website, meetups. And they have all these different things that they do. A lot of them, I think, are closed off to the people of the reservations, because we have a couple of different reservations up here. So I don't think it's one of those things that's always open to the public. They might once a year do it, but I don't really get too deep into it because I'm more of a humanist than I am a shaman. So I'm dealing more with like earth sciences and geology and more than anything else, being able to involve in like spiritual retreating and all that kind of good stuff. So we've got other things like the folks down in Lilydale in the southern tier here in New York. So, and maybe they do something. I couldn't tell you. I don't know enough about it. And I don't spend any time on the reservations unless I have to stop off and get some cheap gas.
I've heard, I haven't been there. I've heard many wonderful things about Lilydale. Have you been there?
To be honest with you, I showed up one day towards the end of the day, and they were charging admission just to be able to get into the hamlet. And the hamlet's like a mini town, if you will. So they wanted to charge admission, and I wasn't even sure that I wanted to be able to go to any workshops or do anything. I just wanted to check it out. I've never been there, and
Yeah.
I don't know if it charged. I don't know how much it was, but whatever it was significant enough to. It's like, okay, do I have enough cash for this? Everyone carries cash, and I'm like, do I really want to put this on a charge card if they're going to be closing? I'm going to walk through the town and see who's who. I can't honestly say. I just felt as though there was, it's like a sense of commercialism. But I guess it keeps the zealots out or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I would imagine. No zealot's going to pay to go Bible thumping through Lilydale.
Oh, what else do I want to ask you? Have you been back to Amityville and the house since you and I
Oh,
last talked about it?
yeah, unfortunately, no. I haven't been down to Long Island. It's been on my to-do list. But since all of the COVID restrictions have taken such a tight grip around New York City, and much of the southern part of New York, I haven't been back. I'm kind of staying up north in the west. I'm in the western part of New York, western New York, which is not even upstate. It's all western. It's more like the Midwest, so to speak. We're in the Rust Belt, the Great Lakes region. So it's a different animal way up here than it is on Long Island. I'm kind of nervous to go down to the island because it's this. I don't know. It's a whole other animal down there. It's a whole other way of living. This culture is different, and I don't know. I don't know if I can fare very well in that environment. Again, show me your papers. I don't know. I just.
I have a weird question for you out of curiosity. Your picture is freezing up. I'm wondering, I know you have some bad weather coming if it's not already there this weekend. Are you hardwired in or do you satellite?
I'm a cable network type person. I use
Huh.
cable internet. So
So am
yeah, I'm
I.
not satellite. Yeah. I don't know. It could just be the nature of the internet. I can be able to, I'm on IRC. I can close out IRC. Let me see whether or not that's it. Unlikely that a text-based chat would be able to cause a bandwidth issue, but who knows.
Yeah, I went from years ago. I switched over from the satellite, which there was nothing wrong with it, but I switched over to hardline cable internet.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
that's what I've
like
been
it better.
using.
I like it
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Well, now that I've thrown Amityville out there, and let's talk about, if we can, possession versus mental illness and possession just in general. I I got a little bit of training in recognizing mental disorder in the process of becoming a certified spiritual advisor, but nothing nowhere near what a psychologist goes through or a psychiatrist. I myself, every couple of months, will sit down and have a 30-minute or hour talk with a psychologist or a psychiatrist just to make sure I'm not crazy, because the last thing you want is a coming to your home as a crazy exorcist. Um, I've read some books on it. I do my best. There's many more than I care to admit people that reach out to me, and one of the first questions I ask is, "Are you currently? Have you ever been clinically diagnosed with a mental disorder? And if so, are you currently under the care of a physician and or on medications?" And many people say, "Yeah, I've been diagnosed with this. I am seeing this doctor, and I am on these meds." And even though sometimes the family and even this person is willing to sign a release to allow me to come in and do my thing, I usually, for legality reasons, because it can get very sticky, will gracefully bow out of the situation and tell them my advice is, please continue to see your doctor, continue to get treated, continue to stay on your meds, and I will add you to the prayer list and I will pray for you hard. And I'll have some discussions with the family members if there's some available behind the client's back, not so much behind their back, but there's some things I might want to say to the family that I don't want to say to the person who's already hanging on emotionally by their fingernails over the
Mhm.
abyss. Um, the question is from a fan of yours who said, and they must be in the deliverance ministry field. They said, and I had never heard this term before. Somebody on one of your sites saw trauma-free exorcism. And I know that the Worldwide Society of the Exorcists, we do something we refer to as exorcism by distance, where if we can't be there, but somebody reaches out to us in the network and says, okay, I'm going to take authority over an exorcism on this day at this location. This is the client's name. This is what I feel in my heart of hearts that what I'm up against. And as many of us as we can, if we're available to do so, at that exact day, at that exact moment, we will all drop into meditative prayer for a positive outcome for that particular situation. And the power of prayer, it seems to really, we look at the results of these exorcisms we're not able to bring closure to versus the ones we are, and the ones that we had uh, exorcism by distance and practice there, and not the overwhelming successes for the ones that we were all part of it, whether we're there or not, were far more, the closure far more in greater numbers for those cases. I've never heard of trauma-free exorcism before. Every exorcism I've ever been involved with, me too, I suffer trauma. These people suffer trauma, and they suffer trauma for many, many years afterwards. I refer to it as post-demonic stress disorder, which it goes on forever. They never
Right.
forget that. Can you explain trauma-free exorcism as best you can?
Okay.
Your fan, and even I am interested in that.
Okay. All right. So very interestingly, one of the first things I go through with my clients is not addressing things from a paranormal viewpoint. And it's very important that I empower my client. So, in doing that, as a humanist and as a non denominational member of the clergy, what I do is I help them to be able to understand, so to speak. A lot of yous out there who might have seen Matrix Resurrections, okay? The simulation within the simulation, right? So the thing is to be able to understand the construct of the mind. And I take every single situation that presents itself as a possession, if you will, as something, as a weakened belief system in oneself or one's God. That's the first step. When you know that someone's belief systems have been subjugated by someone or something, we know that we need to be able to decompile the process for which it got that way. So we start talking about their experiences. And once we go ahead and we find the trigger as to what caused the breakdown in the belief systems, it's right there. It's that aha moment. And it's like, that's where they got to you. And they're like, oh, the demon, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, that's where your self esteem, your self confidence collapsed. And that is where that person or that situation got you. They triggered you, whether it be something that goes back to your childhood. Now you have to go back to ages 2 to 9, try to be able to remember in the formation of the subconscious mind in the childhood, what was the similar trigger point, what was the similar trauma point that it bridged or linked into. And then we start being able to take circumstances, situations, or people that form themselves into monsters. The subconscious mind and the conscious mind, when they come together, a lot of times when we don't have coping skills, we will be able to sometimes identify with the paranormal or identify with something that's supernatural because we don't have words to describe what it is that we're feeling because we don't have the coping tools. We don't have, I guess, just I guess the tools. That's the biggest word to be able to say. And when you're dealing with something like that, the manifestation, if you will, of a monster or a demon or a thing, we call it a thing or an it, right? Because it doesn't have an identity. So we call it a demon, right? I like to refer to it as an it because if you refer to it as a him or a her, then you're giving it power, you're giving it identity. So always refer to it as an it because we can't be 100% sure it's a true demon. Well, it could be, we all have our demons, right?
Yeah.
And our demons are the things that haunt us, our triggers that haunt us. So if we look at it from that viewpoint, one of the keys in being able to do a trauma-free exorcism is understanding and decompiling the subconscious mind, and also helping one to be able to understand what they are manifesting, what they are creating in their everyday life. And it's a much longer process sitting with a person than it would be than with a regular exorcism, where somebody's going to come in and say, believe in me. I'm clergy. I've got the crosses. I've got this. I've got this. I've got this. My process is very different. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to teach you things about your mind. I'm going to teach you things about your reality. You're never going to have a problem ever again. And your confidence is going to be a lot stronger. You're going to come out a whole new human being. So the trauma point with regards to shifting belief, from it being a traumatizing experience, if you will, we identify what the trigger was or is, and we give it an identity. So it's no longer scary. Oh, it was just, scary Uncle Joe who touched me inappropriately when I was a kid, and then I met somebody and I went on a date with them and they kind of sort of looked like Uncle Joe. And ever since then, I've been a little weirded out because, we took a walk and we walked past a cemetery and I got the heebie jeebies and, one thing leads to another. The mind creates associations. You never know. But these manifestations, these associations, these things that once you go ahead and you start putting the pieces of the puzzle together, people start going, wait a minute, that's starting to make sense. Holy moly. And that right there, that's your moment of awakening. That's your enlightenment point where it's like you're shifting the belief of, is this really a supernatural thing? Or is this something that's just my brain is linking together because it never knew how to cope or never knew how to put it together before? But now you're able to identify it. So it's a little bit longer of a process, but it's more permanent. And I'll tell you, it never happens ever again.
I can't tell you. Now, that conversation also gave me goosebumps because it really hit home. I love that. What that technique has in common with one of my approaches is that everybody that reaches out to me, they don't realize that they are the ones that have the power to take their life back. I don't have any magical powers. I can't come in there with a magic wand and make everything better. They are the ones. So you are really working to also show them that. And I'm ashamed to say how many people that come to me that don't have any religious belief system in place, and that's okay. I don't judge, but I tell them, I let them know ahead of time. Well, listen, this is who I am, and I'm going to come at you from a pretty religious angle, and it's only, in my humble opinion, it's your situation. I'm only going to be able to resolve it with you if you're able to get on board my bandwagon and you know, buy into where I'm coming from. And 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 if not, that's totally cool. I am so cool with that. But then I get to a point where I realize if I go any further, I may do more damage. So I need to find a person like you. Okay, I'm gonna put you on the spot here, and you can call me back later and go, don't ever do that to me again, Shawn. Um, would you mind if when I get to a point where a person says, well, no, I'm not Catholic, I'm not Christian, I need help, I believe something's tormenting me. Maybe it's in my head, maybe it's a real demon, but I need help, and if you can't help me, do you know somebody who can? If somebody's not willing, uh, they're not feeling me for whatever the reason is, they're not feeling me, and I take full responsibility for that. I never blame the client for not feeling me. But if they're not feeling me, would you mind if I sent some of those cases your way?
You can. You totally can. I wouldn't
Okay.
say don't route them through napping because most of the time, I'll tell you, if people show up on the North American Psychic and Paranormal Network, we have an open mic Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Okay. So, if you send them to me on my personal website, that's my .com. That's where I'm doing business as a life coach and a spiritual mentor, and I do that professionally. Okay. But we have a group of people every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday during the open mic that will spout a lot of what I'm already talking about. And if I'm not present, they'll talk about a lot of the same things that I'm talking about. And they'll talk about, well, you know, you need to sit down with a counselor, or you need to make sure that if you had trauma or whatever, they'll bring up all the different angles. You know, all of these people on the open mic, and they're not there to be able to serve in any kind of way. That is, they're an open mic. And I would say that these people that need this additional support show up on nappn.net, North American Psychic Paranormal Network, excuse me. And there we have a whole chat section. If you want to show up in the fringe chat, you show up in the fringe chat. You know, you just hang out and lurk there. And, you know, that's during the week. But sometimes people aren't always available 24/7. So you just got to leave the chat hanging open until somebody gets back to you, you know. But if you're there on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, and you're there, you're open and willing to be able to share with the group, you know, people aren't going to go out there and say to other people, oh, you're crazy, blah, 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 blah. They don't talk like that. They'll tell you, hey, there's this, there's this, there's this. Maybe you need to read this book. Maybe you need to be able to dig into this. Or, you know, there's a lot of times I've referenced people to being able to get into self-hypnosis, even to heal their childhood triggers. You know, there's a whole bunch of stuff that you can be able to do. You know, it's just a matter of finding me on Nappin, you know, rather than not going to the personal website. If you want to go to the personal website and you want to do life coaching with me, spiritual mentoring, readings, or anything like that, I do work professionally, but I understand that I can't work with you one-to-one on the North American Psychic and Paranormal Network, because that's a network that you're going there for a family of people to be able to help you and support you, and to be able to give you the help that you need. Sometimes, you know, they say, you know, even with children, with orphans, you know, it takes a village to be able to raise a child, right? But the same thing could be said when somebody needs support, especially dealing with a huge amount of paranormal stuff or psychological stuff, or they just don't have a support system. Nappin's a family. So that's where things are a little bit different. And that's where you get the added support. And people come and they talk about their stuff, or they show their evidence, and everybody sits down. It's like, all right, well, not everybody's going to say that's a ghost. Somebody's going to say, oh, that's a magnet. You know, we were watching the Osbournes earlier on this afternoon with a group of us. That new Ozzy Osbourne paranormal show, was it I Believe or something? Yeah. And everybody's going, nah, that's magnets. Oh, I know how that's done. That's a hoax. And, you know, everybody was figuring it out. But that's the way, that's the mentality. You know, we're there to be able to debunk. We're there to be able to say, what is it? What is it? We're not going to sugarcoat it. You know, if you don't know what it is and you want to call it spiritual or supernatural or something like that, maybe there is an explanation for it. But it's not always supernatural like we were talking. So
where is your I don't know if I've ever asked you this. Where is your personal beliefs lie when it comes to ghosts and demons and angels and things of that nature?
There's different realms.
But you believe that stuff exists?
Oh, it definitely does.
Oh,
it definitely does. But can it kind of possess a person? It could, if you become obsessed with it.
Oh my gosh. An hour is not long enough to talk to you, for sure. Definitely an hour is not long enough to talk to you. We've got 5 minutes or so left. I want to get the important things out again. What do you want people to know as far as reaching out to you, and anything that you're associated with that you know will help people? What do you want anybody that's watching know about how they can reach out to you and where they should go?
All right. So if you want to be able to get more involved, and you want to be able to have support in the paranormal or spiritual issues or psychic matters, or you want to be able to learn more about psychic ability, or anything to do with the occult, to do with magic, you name it. Okay. Esoterics. Okay. Hermetics, whatever you want to be able to go down. Okay. You go to the North American Psychic and Paranormal Network, nappn.net, N-E-T. And you go there, you can look into the chats, you can look into the different programming we have, you can go down the rabbit hole. It's a huge website. But if you want to get more involved, we're there on the weekends at Nappin TV Live. Usually we're in there around 2:00 in the afternoon. People will hang out and lurk all the way through.
That Eastern time?
Yes, Eastern. Okay. Yes, 8 p.m. Eastern. So 2:00 in the afternoon is when we get in there. We start with programming. A lot of times on Fridays, we'll have random, like I was talking about earlier on, we were watching some of the Ozzy Osbourne stuff and Jack Osbourne. We're doing that this afternoon, talking about that. And now everybody's kind of watching me here, for those that have Facebook. And on Saturdays, we'll listening to more stuff. We'll listen to like vintage Art Bell, things of that nature, discuss that until about 8 o'clock, again, Eastern time. And then we open up the floor. Everybody can talk. Everybody can share. Now, I got something else for your listeners as well. We have a paranormal or experience, if you will, hotline. And that number that people can call within the United States, you get 3 minutes. It's in the style of the old school Art Bell. Okay, you got 3 minutes to share, east or west of the Rockies, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. So you can leave a message with your story. Okay, compile it the best that you can into 3 minutes. And you can do that. Either that or you can text it over to us. And what we do is during open mic, we discuss it. That's what we do. And if you want to come and you want to be able to just lurk and listen, you don't have to turn on your mic. You don't have to turn on your camera. You can just sit there and chat, quietly listen. But the telephone number to call is 7733 NAPPN, NAPPN. Wait, I think I'm missing a number here. Maybe I am. Maybe. All right. So maybe I am.
If they can still go, they can still find
Yeah.
that number on.
Yeah,
on
they
the
are missing it. Yeah.
nappin.net.
Yeah,
correct?
nappin.net. Yeah, if you go on to the chat section, you'll see it. But I think it's 77333 nappin. I think that's what it is.
How's
But
Love's Church doing?
Love's Church is good. We're doing that on Sundays as well. Myself and Minister David are working on all new programming. We're going to be broadcasting that now on Be Inspired Radio, which is another one of the Chicky organization programs. But now we're running a 24-hour radio station. We're inviting in new broadcasters as well. So if you go to beinspiredradio.net, you could be able to sign up, get your own radio station. Even you, Shawn, if you want to be able to get out of the Facebook world and you want to be out on the streaming world and get a secondary stream running, for some radio, and people can be able to tune into that who don't have to be on Facebook. So that's something else that we're doing, and people want to be able to have their own shows and be able to be a part of the network. And that's what we do. We're bringing people together. But yeah, Rock Psychic Diaries is also back. There's all new episodes of that coming out as well. And we are working on uploading all of those for the month of February. So that's all good news stuff. And wow, lots of things.
Well, before I say goodbye to you, I do want to I want to personally thank you for something. I remember one night we were talking late one night about God knows what, all kinds of stuff. And you had asked me about my sensitivity to spirit and receiving messages and stuff. And I just kind of said, well, occasionally when I'm really looking for a message, either for myself or for somebody, I just, old school, I crack open the Bible. And you actually were the one that I'm going to give you credit for this. You said, well, that's bibliomancy.
Yes.
And you said, you know what? Let's test your bibliomancy right now. You had me grab my Bible, excuse me, and you gave me, you asked me something about a client of yours. And I opened up the Bible and I read a passage that my whatever led me to. And it made total sense for the person that you were asking me about, that you were kind of quizzing me on. And you opened up a whole can of worms and really got me into practicing as often as I can my technique of bibliomancy, and I've gotten quite good at it.
Nice.
And whenever I do that, I always think of you, and I remember you for pointing me in that direction. And it's many times have come in handy, and I've gotten such wonderful messages from the Holy Spirit for either myself or the client that I'm trying to help. And you pointed me in that direction, so I want to say thank you for that.
Certainly my pleasure. I'm glad that you've found a good direction to be able to take that into, and that you're helping hopefully others that are in need of hearing those messages, because it's always perfect. It's always perfect. It's just like, the random horoscope that comes up, it doesn't matter what it is, but it's always perfect.
Well, before we get cut off, I'm going to tell you I love you. I respect you. You look so pretty today. I thank you so much for spending an hour out of, and I know you are one of the busiest people on the planet. Thank you for spending an hour out of your busy Friday afternoon to spend with me and my viewers. Stay blessed. Good luck in all your endeavors. You're still on my prayer list, and have a wonderful remainder to your evening. And did you have fun when you come back?
Always.
I will reach
Thank
out
you.
to you with some dates. God bless you. Have a good night. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Good night, Chicky. Oh my gosh, I love her. I told you guys would love her too. So, oh gosh, reach out to her. nappn.net. The Rock Psychic Chicky Hot. My guest next week, February 4th. Oh, you're going to love this guy. Good friend of mine. Minister, demonologist, Mr. Scott Johnson will be here. You guys are going to love him. Oh gosh, what else do I want to say to you guys? Stop the violence, stop the anger. And it is such a beautiful day here today in Vegas. What I want to say to you guys. When storms come your way, just remember you know the master of the wind. When sickness finds you, remind yourself you know the great physician. When your heart gets broken, just say, I know the potter. It doesn't matter what we face or go through. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. He is everything we need. Amen. God bless you all. I love you all. Good night, Jack. Good night, Dog. Good night, Harold. Rest in peace. Good night, Ernie. Good night, Bill. Good night, Dan. Peace. Good night, everybody.